Hello my fellow dinos, Josh here with Jurassic Impact, bringing you guys some more Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links content. Today we're going to be going over what Egyptian god is going to be the best in Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links. Our options are, of course, Obelisk the Tormentor, Slifer the Sky Dragon, and of course, the Winged Dragon of Ra. Now, with the God cards, seemingly all three coming to Duel Links at some point soon, including the fact that the Winged Dragon of Ra will actually be here in a couple days. I want to get your thoughts in the comment section below after this video. I may even do a poll, so look in the top right of the video. If it's not there, it'll definitely be a straw poll in the description below. I want to get a poll on what you guys think will be the best Egyptian god in Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links. So we're going to go over all three. We're going to talk a little bit about each one in certain situations to see which one is the best from top to bottom. And then I'll give my personal opinion on which one I feel is the best. And then I'm going to see what you guys think in the comment section below, as well as in our poll that we're going to have hopefully a lot of you participate in. So if you guys enjoy these types of videos, I'm going to start bringing more discussion videos to the channel. If you guys do enjoy, please drop a like and support so that I know you guys do. Anyways, so first up, we have what I consider the worst of all three Egyptian gods, and that is the Winged Dragon of Ra. And yes, I know a lot of you are excited and hyped to play this card. I am too, but I also know realistically he's probably the worst of the three. And the reason why is because all three Egyptian gods can be summoned by normal or special summoning. Right now it'll mostly be normal summons only, because we don't really have any of their support cards to allow for the special summoning, but they're going to be normal summoned basically by attributing 3 monsters, right? The problem with Ra is he doesn't have any kind of spell, trap, or monster targeting negation that you would get from, of course, Obelisk the Tormentor. He also doesn't have an awesome destruction effect that you also could get from Slifer the Sky Dragon. He's literally going to not only take away your life points to boost himself, but he has no other reasonable effect that can be used throughout the duel. So not only are you going to more times than not only have a 3900 attack Ra, because he'll be taking 3900 of your life points, leaving you with a measly 100 left, unless you're running life point regen or life point gain in your deck, then yeah, of course you can make him stronger, but nonetheless he's going to take you down to nothing. So for whatever reason, if Ra gets taken out and they have a clear shot at you, they can kill you with a monster with 100 attack. I mean, people running 3 Sphere Karibo and they take out your Ra, you're going to lose to a Sphere Karibo, which is not a good thing at all, which makes this deck completely incapable of being ran with Last Gamble, because, well, then how are you going to power up your Ra? So what is really interesting though is you could run some interesting troll decks such as Luck is on Your Side or Life Cost 0 with a Ra deck, because he will indeed take your life points to super low. There's also other skills in the game like Miracle Fusion, for example, and others where if your life points are 500 or less, you can activate those effects. So if you can make some cool tricky decks, or some really fun troll decks using those skills, then Ra's going to be the god card to use to get those particular effects off, because he's going to literally take you down to nothing, which means you are going to be very vulnerable. If you're running against anybody that's running a burn, you automatically lose. So it's definitely the worst of the Egyptian gods, because he really doesn't have any good secondary effect. His effect of gaining attack isn't very good in a 4K meta. It would be better in an 8K meta, because at least he'd be stronger, and then you can go for the literal OTK. He'd even be able to get around most mirror walls with that type of attack power, but in Duel Links, not so much. So, in my opinion, he's probably the bottom of the barrel when it comes to the three Egyptian gods. He's still going to be fun and entertaining to play. I can't wait to play him, hopefully in the 15th. But nonetheless, he's still definitely the lowest on my list of the three. Next up, we have Obelisk the Tormentor. Now, what's this bad boy do? Alright, well, like all the three Egyptian gods, the effects of you cannot negate or even use any card effects when he is summoned. Cannot do it, so he's going to automatically always be summonable currently in the game, like all the other Egyptian gods. However, he has a couple pretty unique effects, plus his base stats are pretty damn good. He's got a 4K base stat attack, which is really nice. Yes, he can't go infinity, guys. This is not the anime. He cannot go infinite, but He does have 4K base attack, which is really, really nice. That'll get him over pretty much all monsters currently in most metas. Bear in mind, he don't get hit with mirror walls or wall of Ds or anything like that. Like all the other Egyptian gods, he does require 3 tributes. But he has a pretty good effect where he cannot be targeted by spell, traps, or monster effects that target. So basically, he's got that hazy flame sphinx effect, which is really, really good, which means you can't econ take him, for example. You can't target him with monster morph. So if you're running a burn deck or extra, you're going to have a tough time with this guy. You can't even use Draining Shield on him, which is really, really nice. You can't soul exchange him, so you can't do that either. However, he can be killed by Super Rush Headlong. He can still be stopped by a Karibo. He can still be killed with Mirror Walls, Wall of Ds, and his secondary effect won't be very useful, if at all. You may get it off every once in a while, but it does have a pretty heavy cost, and it's going to be very situational to get that second effect off, and it may not even really be all that worth the trouble. So, therefore, I mean, if you play any of these 3 god cards in a Mindscan deck, and you're trying to play around a Wall of D, for example, and you bust out that effect, that secondary effect could be very useful there, because then you take away 2 additional monsters, leaving you with just Obelisk, and he's going to have 4,000 attack, and that Wall of D is only going to lower him by 800, and they're not going to have any monsters on their field, so you're going to do like 3,200 right there, which could be for game. So in that certain situation, that skill could be effective, but it's not going to be effective very often. You're not even going to be able to get it off very often. But that definitely puts him at number 2 on my list, because he does have the highest base stats of the 3. He does have a very good effect where he basically can't be targeted by anything, which is also very useful, especially for the econ takes. But his drawback is his second effect won't be as useful as needed, and the fact that back row are still going to cause him some problems, especially if we get better ones in the future. Now, the top of my list, number 1, my personal opinion, guys. Remember, this is my personal opinion here. You may all have a different opinion, of course, and you're entitled to it. And I cannot wait to read them as well. My number 1 is Slifer. Now, you may think I'm a little bit biased because I love dragons, which you guys know that here on the channel. But Slifer is my favorite for Duel Links because both of his effects, to me, seem very useful. Like the other 2 Egyptian gods, like we've stated, he cannot be his summoning cannot be negated. Basically, he can be summoned, and they can do nothing about him being summoned, like the other 2. So they all share that. It's a common interest there. But Slifer gains attack and defense by 1,000, equal to the number of cards in your hand. You could easily play Slifer in late game and have a lot of cards in your hand. You can run other cards for draw power. You can run a lot of draw power. This guy's going to be exceptional for farming and PvP. He can have some fun as well. I don't think any of these 3 god cards themselves are going to be very viable meta decks themselves. If you build a deck around them, they're not going to be very viable right now in the current meta. But I think of the 3, Slifer stands the best chance against the top meta, and the fact that he can be one of the best farm cards in the game. Yes, Slifer is going to be one of those farm cards that's going to be exceptional, because not only is he going to gain attack power by 1,000 and defense by 1,000, so you can just sit him in defense until you're ready to go for endgame, or you can just use him for attack power at the very end to boost up your monster for the finishing blow using, of course, union attacks. So your vassal is going to be pretty powerful thanks to the attack potential you could give to your Slifer in late game. Like, you could bring him out late and do stuff like that, or whatever. Whatever you want to do. I mean, some crazy combos you're going to get off with Slifer in a farm deck. I mean, he's going to be amazing. Now, with that said, though, his second effect, this is where he separates from Obelisk, in my opinion. Yes, he can be econ taken. That is a fact. However, Slifer has an amazing effect when a monster is normal or special summoned. Your opponent's monster is normal or special summoned in attack position. It will lose 2,000 attack, and if it loses attack that puts it to 0, it'll automatically destroy it. Now think about how important that could be in against some of the top metas. Most people would have to put their monsters in the defense position, which now opens up the doors for you to attack right into it with little to no risk, because now they're going to either have to save that monster by popping econs, which if they pop an econ and put your Slifer in defense, it's not going to matter because Slifer's defense increases just as much as its attack, so it would be the same regardless. Another thing that's really good is Slifer, with that ability, makes back rows destroying them a lot less unlikely. Mirror walls, for example. What's a mirror wall going to do against Slifer when all your attack position monsters, even like, for example, let's put a Red Eyes, for example. Your opponent summons a Red Eyes for 2400 attack. Now they're now going to be a 400 attack Red Eyes. Otherwise, you have to put it in the defense, which would be 2000. So yeah, you may take some life point damage attacking into a defensive monster, but they had to waste that mirror wall to protect their monster, or use an econ to save that monster. And your Slifer is still sitting pretty, because if your opponent tries to summon another monster again, the same thing will happen. If they summon it into attack position, it will lose that attack power. So your opponent's other option is to set a monster. Again, you're still able to now just keep attacking their defensive monsters, making them waste those back rows to protect that monster, or just let it be destroyed, because they now have no way to put their monsters into attack position as long as Slifer is on the field, because he's now being very disruptive. He's now taking attack power down to 0, automatically destroying your monster, or he's putting it that it's so low that it doesn't even matter. That even if you attack into an attack position monster, its attack will be so low that even a mirror wall will not matter. So you're now going to have to pay 2,000 life points to keep that mirror wall for the next turn, or you're just going to have to have wasted it and still lost the monster anyway. So now your resources are being completely diminished because of Slifer's second effect, which is very, very disruptive. In a Duel Links meta where you only can run 3 back row and 3 monster cards, Slifer can be extremely disruptive. Slifer basically nukes Hazy. What is Hazy going to do? You summon Hazy, and you have to put him in defense position. You have to put all of his monsters in defense position. And you'd have to save them. You have to keep saving them. I guess you could keep using Beast Rising while you have your Hazy in defense position, but then you're going to have to protect him because Hazy's only going to have 1900 defense. So even if you boost him up to like 6-7k, you know, you're also taking into account your opponent doesn't run any kind of back row protection, which is going to just ruin Hazy's day. So that's going to be it's going to be very interesting. Very, very interesting indeed. So, I mean, it's going to be pretty crazy. I mean, I guess they could soul exchange you to save their ass there, but besides that, it's gonna be very interesting, because what I would do, especially against Dakini decks, Cyber Angel decks, I know we're spending a lot of time on Slifer, but since he's my #1 pick, I'm giving him a lot more attention here. Slifer against Cyber Angels, for example, if you run Powerful Rebirth with a Slifer deck, you're going to use those as tributes, and then you can bring back whatever monster you use as tributes, even if it's Raw Disciples. So now you got an additional monster in the field, and then you got some more back row protection. You can even use Parallel Twister on your your Powerful Rebirth, destroy a back row card or whatever. You can use anti-meme arrows with all 3 gods, which I'd recommend. You can run Floodgates with Slifer. You can run a lot of crazy things with Slifer. But basically, what I'm saying with Cyber Angels, if they summon anything in attack position, it automatically dies except for Dakini. Dakini would really be the only one that would survive. If they summoned, and this opens the doors for a lot of things, guys, because if you have Slifer on the field, they can no longer just normal summon Sonic Bird in attack position, getting his effect off. They would have to set him, and then it'd have to be flip summoned. But, you know, of course, you're not going to let that happen. You're going to attack into it, and it's going to get destroyed and not get its effect off. So now you're limiting their resources. You're not allowing them to just keep, you know, recycling and drawing more support to get those effects off as easily, because Slifer just says, screw you. You only have 1400 attack. I'm going to nuke you down to 2000. You're going to be at 0, and you're going to get destroyed. And he's going to do the same thing to Senju. It's going to be a beautiful thing. So now they're limited on draw power because of Slifer on the field. Even if they get a Dakini out, Dakini is going to have to be summoned in defense position to avoid being destroyed. Or not being destroyed, but being lowered to 700 attack. So if you summon Dakini, he's going to have to be in defense position. They're going to destroy one of your monsters. That's why Powerful Rebirth is going to come in handy. You can go ahead and nuke your other monster, still keeping your Slifer on the field. And then you can attack over that Dakini the next turn. You know, when it's your turn, or you do any kind of other shenanigans, whatever back row you're running. But either way, you just now took away their OTK potential. They can no longer do that OTK potential. Now, in that certain situation, Ra, the Winged Dragon of Ra, and Obelisk do not put your opponent in that type of strain, that kind of bad situation as Slifer could. Ra cannot do those things to a Dakini deck. They cannot do them to Cyber Angels. They're going to still summon Dakini in attack position, and yeah, you can nuke one of your monsters if you have one. Otherwise, you're going to have to lose your Obelisk, which would still happen to Slifer, of course. But yeah, it's just interesting to see that could actually happen. That Slifer can be that disruptive to any meta right now because of his ability to basically say, you can't summon nothing in attack position as long as I'm on the field, because one, it'll either be killed or it'll be so low that I don't even give a shit about your back row. So Slifer, in my opinion, is just number one, but that's my opinion. Like I said, there's also situations where Obelisk would be better as well from not being able to be targeted. It really depends what your back row looks like and what kind of deck you're building around them. But, however, I think most of us can agree that Ra is probably the worst of the three. But I hope you guys all enjoy the video. I can't wait to see what your guys' opinions are. Until next time, peace. Make sure you also join us on Discord below and subscribe if you're new.